Hi, I'm Sarah. My family always saw me as the failure, but when my dad threatened to cut my tuition if I didn't attend my golden sister's wedding, they had no idea I'd secretly graduated summa cum laude and was already making six figures. You know that feeling when your own family treats you like you're invisible? Like everything you do just doesn't matter? That was my entire childhood. While my sister Emma got praised for getting a B plus, I'd bring home straight A's and hear, well, grades aren't everything. While she got a car for her 16th birthday, I got a lecture about being too focused on books and needing to learn social skills. But let me tell you what happened 3 weeks ago. I was sitting in my new apartment. Yeah, the one my family doesn't know exists because they still think I'm living in some cramped dorm room when my phone buzzed. Dad's name flashed on the screen, and honestly, my stomach dropped. Family calls never brought good news. Sarah, we need to talk. His voice had that tone. You know the one. Like he was about to deliver some life-altering ultimatum that I'd better accept without question. What's up, Dad? Your sister's wedding is in 2 weeks. Your mother and I expect you to be there. I stared at the wall, processing this. Emma's wedding. The event that had consumed every family conversation for the past 8 months. The celebration where Emma would once again be the shining star, the perfect daughter who did everything right. I'll try to make it, I said carefully, but I have some important things going on with school and… No. His voice cut through my explanation like a knife. This isn't a request, Sarah. This is your sister's big day. The whole family will be there. Your aunts, uncles, cousins. Everyone's flying in from across the country. Dad, I understand it's important, but listen to me very carefully. The temperature in his voice dropped about 20 degrees. If you don't show up to your sister's wedding, if you embarrass this family by being absent on the most important day of Emma's life, I will stop paying your tuition. Immediately. You can figure out how to finish your degree on your own. The line went quiet. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears, could feel that familiar tightness in my chest that always came when my family pulled this kind of move. The conditional love. The threats disguised as care. The way they always made my worth dependent on serving Emma's spotlight. Are you threatening to cut my education funding because I might not be able to attend a party? I asked quietly. This isn't a party, Sarah. This is your sister's wedding. Emma has always been there for you. She's the one with the stable job, the good relationship, the bright future. She's marrying a wonderful man from a good family. She's everything we could hope for in a daughter. There it was. The comparison. The not-so-subtle reminder that Emma was the success story and I was just… What? The expensive disappointment they were still paying to fix? The whole family's talking about it, he continued. Everyone's asking if you'll be there. Your cousin Michelle said Emma seemed worried you might not come. Don't you care about your sister's feelings? I touched the ring on my finger. A simple gold band that none of them had ever seen, never asked about. They had no idea what this ring represented. No idea that 3 months ago, I'd walked across a stage in front of hundreds of people while they were probably at home watching Emma's engagement party videos for the 100th time. I care about Emma, I said finally. I just have a lot going on right now. More important than family? His voice dripped with disappointment. Sarah, I'm worried about you. You've become so isolated, so focused on these academic pursuits that you're forgetting what really matters. Emma's building a life. She's contributing to society. She's making us proud. Making us proud. The words hit like they always did, creating that hollow feeling in my chest. When was the last time I'd made them proud? When was the last time they'd even acknowledged something I'd accomplished? Your mother's been crying about this, Dad added, and I knew he was playing his trump card. She's terrified that you've become one of those people who's too good for their own family. Too educated for your own good. Don't prove her right, Sarah. I closed my eyes and counted to 5. This was a vintage Dad. Wrap the manipulation in concern, make me the villain for having boundaries, then throw in Mom's tears to seal the deal. What time is the wedding? I asked. I heard him exhale with relief. 2 o'clock on Saturday the 15th. Emma's reserved you a bridesmaid dress. Your mother picked it out, something that'll look nice but won't draw attention away from the bride. Of course. Even my outfit was designed to keep me in the background. "I'll be there," and I said, "Good girl. This is the right thing, Sarah. Family comes first. Always." After I hung up, I sat in my apartment's silence, looking around at my life that my family knew nothing about. The leather couch I'd bought with my first paycheck. The framed photo from my actual graduation, you know, the one where I graduated at the top of my class from one of the most competitive programs in the country. The one where I stood on stage and accepted awards while my family was probably planning Emma's bachelorette party. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "Dad said you're coming. Can't wait to see you. It's been forever." It had been forever. 8 months to be exact. Not since Christmas, when I'd sat at the dinner table listening to everyone congratulate Emma on her promotion to assistant manager at the marketing firm while I quietly finished my senior thesis, the one that would later earn me the highest academic honor my university had ever awarded to an undergraduate. I walked to my desk and opened the folder I kept there. Inside was everything they didn't know about. My diploma, embossed with gold lettering and Latin phrases they'd never bother to understand. My job offer from Goldman Sachs, with a starting salary that made Emma's impressive marketing position look like an internship. My first performance review from my current job marked exceptional in every category. They had no idea that while they'd been planning Emma's perfect wedding, their failure daughter had been building the kind of career they'd always claimed to want for us. They didn't know that I'd been recruited by 3 different Fortune 500 companies. They didn't know that my professors had begged me to consider graduate school, offering full scholarships and research positions that most students could only dream of. They didn't know because they'd never asked. My phone rang again. Mom this time. "Sarah, honey, I'm so glad you're coming to the wedding." Her voice was soft, the way it got when she was trying to smooth over Dad's harder edges. "I know things have been tense, but this is so important to Emma." "I know, Mom. She's been under so much stress with the planning. You know how she is? She wants everything to be perfect. She's been worried that you might not approve of Marcus, or that you'd think the wedding was too fancy, or that you'd feel out of place because everyone else has their careers figured out." The last part hit like a slap. Feel out of place because everyone else has their careers figured out. If only she knew, Mom, does Emma actually want me there? Or does she just want to avoid the drama of me not being there? There was a pause. What kind of question is that? Of course she wants you there. You're her sister. When's the last time Emma and I had a real conversation? When's the last time she asked me about my life, my goals, anything that wasn't about her? "Sarah." Mom's voice took on that warning tone. "Don't start this, please. Not now." "Start what? Asking why my relationship with my sister feels so one-sided? Emma loves you. We all love you. But sometimes love means being supportive even when you don't understand someone's choices." "What choices don't you understand, Mom?" Another pause, longer this time. "Well, the way you've thrown yourself into school, the way you've isolated yourself from the family, the way you never seem interested in the things that matter to the rest of us. Emma's building something real, Sarah. A marriage, a home, a future. I just worry that you're going to wake up one day and realize you've spent so much time with your nose in books that you've missed out on actually living." I looked at my computer screen, where my work email showed 17 new messages from colleagues and clients. People who respected my insights, who sought my advice, who saw me as an expert in my field. People who had no idea that my own mother thought I was wasting my life. "Maybe you're right," I said quietly. "I'm just worried about you, honey. Your father and I both are. We want you to be happy, but we also want you to be realistic about what life requires." Emma understands that. She's always been practical. Practical. That's what they called it when Emma settled for a job that paid enough to fund her shopping habit but would never challenge her. Practical was when she chose a boyfriend based on his family's country club membership rather than whether he shared her dreams. Practical was when she planned a wedding that would look impressive on social media but put them $50,000 in debt. "I'll see you at the wedding, Mom. Wear something nice, okay? But not too nice. This is Emma's day." After that call, I sat in my apartment and made a decision. I would go to this wedding. I would smile and play the role of the grateful little sister. I would watch Emma marry her practical choice and listen to the family praise her practical life. But I was done hiding. I walked to my closet and pulled out the outfit I'd bought for my first major client presentation. A sleek black suit that cost more than Emma's monthly rent, tailored perfectly to project confidence and success. I'd wear that. Let them think I was just trying to look nice for the photos. Next, I gathered my evidence. Not because I was planning some dramatic confrontation, but because I was tired of feeling ashamed of achievements that should have made me proud. The diploma went into a leather portfolio. The job offer letter printed on company letterhead. My business cards with senior financial analyst printed in elegant serif font. I called my mentor, Professor Williams, the one who'd written my recommendation letters and celebrated with champagne when I'd gotten the Goldman Sachs offer. "Sarah, how's the new job treating you?" "Incredible. Actually better than I'd hoped. Listen, I need a favor." I explained the situation. The family that saw me as the unsuccessful one, the wedding where I'd be surrounded by relatives who still thought I was struggling through college. "Sarah," he said when I finished, "I've been teaching for 35 years. You're one of the most brilliant students I've ever worked with. If your family can't see that, it's their loss. Would you be willing to write a brief testimonial? Something I could share if the opportunity arose?" "I'll do better than that. I'll film a video. You deserve recognition for what you've accomplished." After we hung up, I looked around my apartment again. This place that my family had never seen, would never think to ask about. The home I'd made for myself with furniture I'd chosen, books I'd collected, achievements I'd earned through years of work they'd dismissed as just school. My phone buzzed with another text from Emma. "BTW, Marcus's family is super successful. His dad owns 3 car dealerships and his mom's a real estate agent. Just wanted to give you a heads up so you don't feel intimidated. They're really down to earth, though." Don't feel intimidated by a car dealership owner and a real estate agent. While I was analyzing portfolios worth hundreds of millions of dollars and advising executives on investment strategies that would shape their company's futures, I turned the ring on my finger again. My graduation ring. The one that marked the day I'd achieved something they'd never thought possible. At the ceremony, I'd looked out into the audience and seen my professors, my friends, my colleagues, but not my family. They'd been too busy helping Emma pick out linens for her wedding registry. I'd told myself it didn't matter. I'd told myself that their approval wasn't necessary for my success. But sitting there, preparing to return to their world where Emma was the golden child and I was the expensive disappointment, I realized how much their dismissal had actually hurt. But not anymore. In 2 weeks, I'd go to Emma's wedding. I'd smile for the photos and give the appropriate responses when relatives asked about my studies. I'd play my role in their perfect family narrative. But this time, I'd have something they'd never expected. The truth. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of preparation that my family knew nothing about. While they were probably coordinating final wedding details and gossiping about whether I'd embarrass myself at the reception, I was quietly building my case. Not for revenge. I want to be clear about that. I wasn't plotting some dramatic takedown or planning to ruin Emma's day. I just wanted to be ready. Ready to finally show them who I really was, if the moment felt right. My phone kept buzzing with family updates I hadn't asked for. Aunt Patricia texting about how excited she was to see little Sarah and asking if I was still in school. Cousin Michael sending photos from his latest vacation and mentioning how he couldn't wait to introduce me to his girlfriend, who was also academic. The way they said academic, like it was some kind of consolation prize. Each message reminded me why I'd kept my success quiet for so long. It wasn't just about protecting myself from their skepticism. It was about protecting them from the reality that their assumptions about me were completely wrong. I spent my evenings organizing documentation, the way I'd learned to do for client presentations. Everything had to be clear, verifiable, and impossible to dismiss. The diploma was the centerpiece, Bachelor of Science in Economics, summa cum laude, with a GPA that had broken the university's record for the department. Below that, I arranged my academic awards. The Chancellor's Medal for Highest Academic Achievement, the Economic Society's Outstanding Graduate Award, and the research prize I'd won for my senior thesis on market volatility. Then came the professional documentation. My offer letter from Goldman Sachs, the one I'd ultimately turned down for an even better opportunity. My current employment contract with Blackstone, clearly showing my title and salary range. My first quarterly performance review, marked exceeds expectations in every category, with a note from my supervisor that I was being considered for early promotion. But the most powerful piece wasn't on paper. It was a video Professor Williams had sent me 3 days ago. I'd watched it probably 20 times, still amazed that this respected academic, this man who'd taught Nobel Prize winners and Fortune 500 CEOs, was talking about me with such genuine pride. "I've been privileged to teach at this university for 35 years, he said in the video, sitting in his book-lined office that I'd visited countless times for guidance and mentorship. In that time, I've watched thousands of brilliant students pass through these halls. But Sarah represents something truly extraordinary. Not just intellectual capability, but the kind of analytical thinking and ethical reasoning that shapes industries." He went on to detail my academic achievements, my research contributions, and my professional trajectory in terms that made me sound like someone I barely recognized. This wasn't the family disappointment or the antisocial bookworm my relatives described. This was a professional success story. The video had been Professor Williams's idea entirely. When I'd explained the situation, how my family had always seen my academic focus as a character flaw rather than an achievement, he'd been genuinely angry. "Sarah, what you've accomplished would be remarkable for anyone, but doing it while carrying your family's disapproval makes it even more impressive. They should be celebrating you, not treating your success like it's somehow inadequate." I'd asked him to keep the video brief and professional. No dramatic music, no emotional appeals, just facts presented by someone whose opinion carried weight in the academic and financial worlds. If I ended up sharing it, I wanted it to stand on merit, not manipulation. My work colleagues had been equally supportive when I'd mentioned the wedding stress in passing. Jessica, my project manager, had looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language when I'd explained my family's perspective on my career. "Wait, they think working at Blackstone is unsuccessful?" she'd asked during our lunch break. "Sarah, you do realize that people with MBAs and decades of experience compete for positions like yours, right? You're 22, and you're already analyzing portfolios worth more than most people will see in their lifetime." Her reaction had been validating, but it also highlighted the strange double life I'd been living. At work, I was respected, valued, sought out for my insights. My opinion influenced million-dollar investment decisions. Partners twice my age listened when I spoke in meetings. But in my family's world, I was still just Sarah who focused too much on books. The cognitive dissonance was exhausting. 3 days before the wedding, Emma called me directly. Not a text, not a message through mom, an actual phone call. That alone should have warned me that something was up. "Hey, sister." Her voice had that bright, slightly manic quality it got when she was stressed and trying to hide it. "How are you? Ready for the big day?" "Getting there," I said carefully. "How are you holding up? Last-minute wedding prep must be intense." "Oh, you know me. I love organizing everything. Marcus keeps telling me to relax, but honestly, I just want everything to be perfect." She paused, and I could hear the underlying tension. "Actually, I wanted to talk to you about something." Here it comes, I thought. Marcus's family is going to be there, obviously, and they're pretty successful people. His dad, Robert, owns 3 BMW dealerships across the state, and his mom, Linda, is like the top real estate agent in their county. They're really wonderful, but they're used to a certain level of achievement, I guess. I waited, knowing there was more. "And I know you're super smart and everything, but I was wondering if maybe you could, I don't know, maybe talk about future plans instead of just school stuff? Like what you want to do after graduation, or if you're thinking about getting your MBA or looking into internships. I just don't want them to think our family isn't ambitious, you know?" The irony was so thick I could barely process it. Emma was asking me to pretend to have ambitions while I was literally living the career she thought I should aspire to. Emma, I said slowly, what exactly do you think I'm doing with my life right now? Well, you're finishing your degree, which is great. And I'm sure you have lots of smart ideas about economics and stuff. I just meant like practical plans, adult plans. Adult plans. As if analyzing investment strategies for institutional clients wasn't adult enough. I'll figure out what to say, I told her. Perfect. And Sarah? Her voice got softer, more sincere. I really am glad you're coming. I know we don't talk much anymore, but you're my sister. It wouldn't be the same without you there. This was the Emma I remembered from childhood, before the comparisons and competition had gotten so intense. The sister who used to defend me when kids at school called me weird for reading during recess. For a moment, I felt a pang of guilt about what I was planning. But then she continued. And who knows? Maybe you'll meet someone at the wedding. Marcus has some single friends from college, and they're all really successful. I could introduce you. The moment passed. Even in her attempt at sisterly bonding, Emma couldn't help but imply that I needed her help to meet successful people. If only she knew that I spent my days working alongside some of the most accomplished professionals in the financial industry. We'll see, I said. Oh, and I almost forgot. Can you give a little toast at the reception? Nothing long, just something sweet about how proud you are of me and Marcus. Everyone's going to speak, and it would mean a lot coming from my little sister. A toast. Perfect. If I was going to reveal the truth, a toast would be the ideal moment. Everyone would be listening, the atmosphere would be celebratory, and it would be my designated time to speak. Sure, I said. I'll prepare something. After we hung up, I sat in my apartment and finally acknowledged what I'd been planning all along. This wasn't just about being ready if the moment arose. I was going to tell them. All of them. Not to hurt Emma or ruin her day, but because I was done living this strange double life where my greatest achievements had to be hidden like shameful secrets. I spent the evening crafting what I'd say. It had to be perfect. Honest but not bitter, proud but not arrogant, celebratory of Emma while also revealing my own success. I wrote and rewrote, finding the balance between sharing my truth and maintaining the love I genuinely felt for my family, despite everything. The night before the wedding, I got one final call from Dad. Just wanted to check in before tomorrow, he said. Make sure you're all set. I'm ready. Good. I know this has been difficult for you, Sarah. I know you sometimes feel like you don't fit in with the rest of us. But family is about supporting each other, especially during big moments like this. I don't fit in. The phrase stung because he meant it kindly, like it was some unchangeable fact about my personality rather than a result of their assumptions about my worth. Dad, can I ask you something? Of course. When you think about my future, what do you hope for me? He was quiet for a moment. I hope you find something that makes you happy. I hope you find someone who appreciates your unique qualities. I hope you figure out how to connect with people, how to be part of something bigger than just your own interests. Something bigger than my own interests, like contributing to investment strategies that would fund pension plans for thousands of retirees, like analyzing market trends that would help companies make decisions affecting thousands of jobs, like the research I'd done that had been cited in 3 different economic journals. I hope you learn to value what Emma has, he continued. The relationships, the stability, the way she makes people feel comfortable and included. Those skills matter more than grades in the real world. I looked around my apartment, at the life I'd built through those supposedly worthless grades, at the career I'd earned through that supposedly useless academic focus. Tomorrow, he'd find out exactly how much those grades had mattered in the real world. I'll see you tomorrow, Dad. We're proud of you for coming, Sarah. This is the right thing. They were proud of me for showing up. Not for graduating at the top of my class, not for landing a job that most MBA graduates would envy, not for building a successful career at an age when Emma had still been figuring out what she wanted to major in. They were proud of me for performing the basic function of attending a family event. That night, I laid out my clothes for the next day, the black suit that projected quiet confidence without screaming for attention, the simple jewelry that complimented rather than competed, and my graduation ring, the one piece I wore every day that represented everything they didn't know about me. I placed my portfolio on the dresser next to my purse. Inside was everything: the diploma, the awards, the professional documentation, and the flash drive with Professor Williams's video. Tomorrow, my family would finally see who I really was. As I went to sleep, I thought about Emma's request for a toast. I'd prepared something that would celebrate her happiness while also revealing my own success. Something that would reframe the narrative they'd all constructed about our family dynamic. Emma was about to marry her practical choice and start her practical life, and I was about to show them that their impractical daughter had already built something extraordinary. The wedding day dawned clear and bright, typical Emma luck. Even the weather cooperated with her vision of perfection. I dressed carefully, checking my reflection one last time. The woman looking back at me wasn't the awkward, bookish disappointment my family expected. She was confident, accomplished, ready to finally step out of the shadows they'd kept her in. I grabbed my portfolio and headed to the venue, knowing that by the end of the day, everything would be different. The truth has a way of changing everything, whether you're ready for it or not. My family was about to discover that their biggest assumption about me was completely wrong, and Emma's perfect wedding was about to become the stage for a revelation none of them saw coming. The graduation ring caught the morning light as I drove, a small reminder of the moment my real life had begun, the life they'd never bothered to ask about. Today they'd finally learn what they'd missed.